And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Lyon Show. I'm your host, your favorite business coach, Robert Lyon. Today, we have the great pleasure of talking to Natsune all the way from Japan. She is a member of a great company, their Life Up Education TV. She's an author, she's a businesswoman, very smart, and I'm just super excited to have her on the show today. So, Natsune, why don't you introduce yourself and kind of tell everybody who you are and what you're all about?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. My name is Natsune. I'm a host at the Life Up Education TV, which is a media that I started to talk about how can we advance the capability or possibility of humanity from the perspective of arts and science. And then within the same domain, like you mentioned, I do have a book, The Game of Self-Domination, right here, which we can probably get to a little bit later. And then I also have a business agency in Tokyo called Foreign Connect, which helps Japanese companies to launch and expand businesses in America.
That's so cool. So, what businesses have you helped launch and move so far?
I focus a lot on direct to consumer businesses. So any brands that they need, like branding, marketing help, like setting up the first operation in America. That's been my experience so far.
That's so cool. And I love the title of your book. So basically it's about like self-discipline and being badass. How did you come up with the title, and how did you decide that was what you're going to write about?
Yeah, so the game of self-domination, right? Like I didn't come up with the title until the very end. Like I wrote everything, and then I started thinking about the title afterwards. Um, and it comes from the intention that I wanted to call life as a game, because you can fail anytime and you can come back up anytime you decide, right? Like I think success is completely behavioral. I don't think nothing is fixed, right? Like even if how fucked up you are right now, like I guarantee you, if you decided tomorrow, you have a chance, right? So that's the intention from the game, right? Like you can start over anytime. And then the self-domination, what I notice is self-talk really matters. Like how you see the world really matters. So I wanted to like kind of put that as a point, the very ultimate point that I deliver as a message with my book.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. So many people don't really have that concept. It's like something you have to learn though through trial and error. You know, you kind of have to crash and burn and then realize, oh man, if I can really just get first of all what's going on inside my head in
Mm-hmm.
order, and then I can go take the actions, have the self-discipline, and I guess just keep kicking ass. You can
Yeah.
do just about anything in life. I think that's kind of what you're saying, like how it's a game. Is if you get yourself in a alignment, that's kind of been my new thing. So like you have like your mind, your body, your work, your life energy all in alignment, you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
able to win the game essentially, because you're going to be knowing where you're going, what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think too.
That's so cool. So before we started, you were mentioning there's like a few phases of basically self domination and just like mindset and taking us through there. So would you mind maybe expressing that with the listeners?
Yeah. So in this book, I talk about how one can create mental transformation in three different phases. I'm all about like organization and processes. Or I wouldn't say all about, but I'm tend to be very good at it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to actually lay out very practical steps and very practical like visual for someone to understand how one can go through that transformation, right? So
Uh-huh.
that's how I came up with the three phases. The first phase I talk about is emotional building. The first phase is all about like how can you commit basically, and in that phase you don't need any logical thinking. You need to be just really emotional about something. And then for you to be very emotional about something, your inspiration needs to exceed your desperation. You definitely need both feeling. So desperation in a sense that like enough is enough. I gotta change this or something, right? Like something that
Yeah.
pushes you. And then inspiration in a sense that, however, if you only have this desperation, you wouldn't even try, right? So you need to have the inspiration to say like, this is possible, I can achieve it. And then that needs to slightly exceed your desperation. So that's the first phase I talk about. The second phase I talk about perseverance, how to keep perseverance. And this is the phase that many people fail, right?
Yeah.
Honestly. And that's why I wanted to, this is the longest chapter of all, right? And I talk about, importance of self-talk, importance of self-awareness, importance of like just accepting life as they are and not necessarily having to attach meaning to every event that happens to you. But rather, if you want to stay practical, you need to accept whatever happens and understand that there's no meaning in it. And then just be focusing on like, what can I do, right? Like each time something hard happens. And then the third phase, I talk about, but so all this is great, but like, what is success? Like, what does success mean? Like, what does satisfaction means? What does happiness mean in life? And basically, I set up the whole thing in a way that it asks you different kind of questions, very like deep life questions that by the end of this chapter, like by the end of the book, basically you develop customized like definition of your success, right? Like your very specific definition of success through the first two chapters.
Yeah.
So the third chapter is about like kind of like adding you a little bit more essence and but look, like success has nothing to do with whatever you achieve or whatever you have. But in reality, like, fuck it, like success is all here. If you decide to live life happily, like that's the best we can do. And so, you know, basically the third phase is to really come to the realization that success always starts from you, like within you. And it doesn't, whatever you achieve, like it really doesn't matter. Like, so that's kind of like how the whole thing flow.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think like finding success for yourself or for anybody listening, like it's really a personal journey. And once you really have that image of what success is going to mean for you and how you are going to let nothing get in your way to get there, I think that's just so powerful. I almost imagine it like setting a goal out into the future and then you just persevere. Like you were saying, you got to have the grit and the perseverance to get there. And then you need the systems to get you there, kind of take the action and move there every day. I love it. I've got to buy your book now.
Because I want to add to it. Like one thing I noticed is like, I think one of the reasons a lot of people fail is they have too much expectation in like, if I achieve this, I can love myself. If I achieve this, I'm happy, right?
Yeah.
So that's when I also talk about like ultimate self-love, because too many people have too much condition in order for them to love themselves. But it doesn't work like that. Like it has to work the vice versa. So I think that one of the reasons a lot of people quit is because they have too much expectation and like, if I achieve this, I'm going to be so happy, right? But in reality, that's why I wanted people to realize that, look, like even if whatever you achieve, like it doesn't make you happier, like ultimately, I'm talking about ultimately, like it all starts from here, right? So that's why I kind of wanted to navigate the flow of my book into the realization finally to say like, look, fuck it, like whatever you achieve, like it doesn't make you happy permanently. Like you gotta keep working, and then this journey where you're expanding your mind is the happiness, and then you need to realize it if you want to be happy.
Yeah, I love that. You got to love the journey. Otherwise, I mean, it's not even about the destination. It's about like picking a goal and then just kind of loving the process every day of getting there and getting closer and figuring it out. And I think that's just so cool. So what is Life Up Education TV and what do you do over there?
Yeah, so Life Up Education TV, I wanted to have a media where I can definitely empower people, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a very like, I'm fascinated by the concept of time. So when I say time, I'm very excited about future. And the reason being that when I think about future, I think about creation and imagination, something that we haven't seen, something that we haven't imagined yet, right? So we can literally shape the future. And when I think about past, that's data, that's history, that's knowledge, that's already something that we've been, something that we already know. Yeah. So what I'm most excited about is the future. And when, like I said, future connecting to creativity, I think in that sense, creativity is already inside of us. And in this thinking, future is already inside of us. Future is inward, not outward. We don't have to seek for it. We already attain it as a possibility. So for me to unlock the great future for the humanity, I think we're stopping.
I think it's all right. Are you freezing? Well, we'll be back.
Sorry.
We're good.
We're good. Where should I start from?
You were talking about for the good of humanity, what you want to do with the show.
Right. So see, the future is inside of us. We already attain the creativity, the possibility of creativity. So my mission here is for me to contribute to create the maximum future for the humanity. I think the key is unlocking people's potential, unlocking humanity's potential, right?
Yeah.
So I want to talk about it from the perspective of art in a sense that art is creativity, art is inspiration, something that's intangible, something very subjective to each individual, but something more emotional, right? So I want to talk about that from that perspective. So for me to do that, I talk about, mindset. I talk about something that gets people emotional enough that, like I said, the first phase, right? Like I want people to be emotional about their dream. I want people to have the ambition to achieve something.
Yeah.
So I talk about that in the media. And also the second thing I talk about is, like I said, I come from a business and economics background. So even though I understand how important positive thinking is and dreaming, visualization, all these things, which by the way, I think there's definitely something that our human brain, the capacity of our human brain cannot understand is out there. Because, I read that, speaking of time, I read that we are basically stardust. So below our tangible being, there's particles, right? And then what this is made of is stardust apparently. And when we think about it like that, like energy, like how energy works and everything like that, it makes a whole lot of sense for me. So I think I'm not saying that visualization and affirmation doesn't work or nothing like that, but I'm saying that as much as that those are important, I think practicality, the science, what we already know also matters if you want to achieve something in an efficient way. So that's why I bring in the science perspective, where I also talk about, what does this mean in a practical sense? And that's where the show comes about.
That's so cool. So how are you finding ways of unlocking people's potential? What does that look like?
But I think when we talk about potential, like I said, I align a lot with how I laid out my book. And the first phase, like I said, it's always about emotion. And actually, in reality, when you go through failures and when you go through adversity, rejections, and all that, I think the bottom line is emotion. Emotion matters too. I think often whenever people want to give up, that's when they stop loving themselves. For example, they just can't have that courage to love themselves in that very hard time, and they feel like nobody loves me. Why the fuck do I have to love myself? Why the fuck do I have to keep going? Right? So I think in the end, very very ultimately, what I'm good at doing is to show them it's okay, you can fuck up, but just don't give up on yourself, and just give them the sense of abundance, and then show them the beautiful side of the humanity. Show them that even if you're shit place right now, I got you. I wanna show you how to stay positive. I want to show you how to love yourself. Look, and then the thing is, speaking of practicality, I get it. It doesn't work like that always, right? Because life is never about you. Life is always about life. The world is always about the world. It's never about you. That's why it's even if I want to encourage someone, sometimes because of the time and because of everything that's going on, context matter, right? So sometimes even if I have this life mission, sometimes I would have to be in a place to reject someone, right? And then this person needs to stand on their feet. But so even then, so my point is, I get it. It just never works in a way that you wish. Life never works in a way that you wish life works, right? But even then, I think during those times, I think if I keep pushing the message that hopefully align with people in a positive way, I think I can still contribute for them to stand back up for their own. So I can't do that personally in person to person all the time. But if I use the power of media, at least if I align my message with positivity, empowerment, inspiration, then I could still help other people when they need to hear this kind of affirmation and stuff like this.
Yeah, that's actually what this show is a lot about too, is just helping people, and I love what you're saying is helping them find their true potential. I'm just trying to help people thrive, help them survive, help them do more, because so many people have, like, I don't want to say like a small mindedness, but they don't know all the things that they could be doing with their lives. There's so much that you can actually do with your life. Like I've lived a very exciting and just like completely crazy all over the place life. And then now I've come back and I can reflect on it and I know what I want and I know where I can go. And I just want people to know that you can do a lot of stuff with this life. And it's important to spread the message of what you're saying, to believe in yourself and to help other people believe that they can do more with their lives and they can have more of an impact than they ever imagined if they just try. And I think that that's really incredible. So everybody go check out Life Up Education TV.
Yeah.
So cool.
And yeah, abundance. Yeah. Like I think what's lack is love. I think a lot of people are in a scarcity. And for me, like, quite honestly, I don't care whatever you do in your life. Like, you as a listener, you as an audience, like, I'm happy for you. Like, I can't decide what's successful for you, for your life, right? Yeah. So in the same degree that whatever you tell me, whatever you achieved, it has nothing to do with me. All I care about is, are you happy? And if you're happy, like, whatever you achieve, whether that's like incredible or like super little, I don't care. Like, that's good. If you're happy, that's all that matters. Like, so for me, I think it's scarcity and insecurity that I need to like banish from my positivity and empowerment, for people to say, like, I'm not in a scarcity, I'm abundance, which means that I don't feel lack, I don't feel less, even if I'm being me. I don't have to like pursue something to look for validation. I just want to be me and I want to feel abundance. I just want to be me and I want to feel love to myself. And that's a message I'm trying to create, is like, I just want people to love themselves enough that they're happy. And I really don't care whatever you do. Like, you can just live, you can strive, you can do whatever. But ultimately, what I'm trying to do is I want you to love yourself. And I think that's important, especially if you want to achieve something in life. Yeah. Like, especially if you want to live positively in your life and try to strive in your life.
Yeah. So, I mean, what is the $1 million question is, how can you help other people be happy? Or how can, I think it just starts, you have to be happy first, and then you can spread your positivity, and that can be an effect. But there's a lot of unhappy people out there that I would love to be happy too. So what do you think? How do you help make people happy?
I think it's abundance. Yeah. I think ultimate love. I think showing them that, like, life is not that serious. Showing them that abundance, abundance rather than scarcity. And I think those are very important thing. And just love, like, it's very difficult to word it, put the word in it, because love is like, right? Like, there's no definition for love.
Yeah, love is kind of its own. It's like its own thing. That we kind of we kind of use love to, like, for a whole bunch of things, right? And then we just kind of sum it all up in a four-letter word of love. But there's love all around you. Life is love. I don't know.
And like, because you feel a little bit like here, like something a little bit here, tickle, like, and when you see my contents or on social media, for example, I want to create contents that makes you that feeling. And it doesn't, I don't expect that to change permanently, right? But over time, it adds up. And then my goal is, I want to be that person when someone has a hard time, they be like, I need a Natsune. I need like a little bit of Natsune now, right? And I think that's enough.
That's beautiful. It's kind of like the butterfly effect, you're trying to, the little actions here can make hurricanes or whatever around the world.
And then also, like, it's something that that's intangible, but in a tangible way, I definitely want to spread the message of, like, fuck insecurity, like, let's be confident, let's have the abundance, let's try to live with inspiration in our own term. So these are things that I definitely talk about.
How do you help people with confidence?
Like lack of confidence issue.
Yeah, I just think, like I said earlier, is like people don't know that they can do more with their lives, and they won't even try. It's like if some people are unhealthy and they just give up instead of knowing that they could have the confidence to be healthy again or
Mhm.
live a better life. I don't know. I'm just wondering if you pick your brain on that.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer of like free competition.
Yeah.
So there's a portion in my book where I talk about Adam Smith, the father of economics, how he described where the optimal economy is.
Yeah.
And he uses the term invisible hand, so to say that the economy is at the optimal when there's no government intervention. And I think that, like, and then also the Charles, I forgot his name, but basically there was this another, I think Russian or American writer from like long time ago. He says, if you want to go in, you should go all the way in, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of like picked that quote a lot because it resonated with me a lot. So for me, I'm a big believer of like natural, just like letting everything at the natural state. So if you are in that place, I think you should go all in. And then
Yeah.
finally you realize, holy shit, like I just can't, fuck man, like I can't I can't stay like this. Like I gotta get up, like I gotta do something. And then I think that's the most natural way for someone to come to the realization. Because I can't tell you what to do. Like humans just can't see what they don't see. And in that way, I just encourage people to just go all the way in for whatever they need to do. And like I said, the game, right? Like fuck everything, like fuck shit up, and it's just like realize in your own fucking term. Yeah, go to the way, and so I think that's the most effective way.
Yeah.
And this comes from my personal experience. Like I never listened to anyone because I always wanted to fuck in my own term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I freaking love that so much. Yeah, I'm just all about the listeners' success. So is there any other tips that you might have for listeners on how to get success in their lives that we might not have talked about?
Well, I think there's a lot, but I think the very bottom line, like the most important message I always want to tell people is, like you said, right? Like some people, maybe sometimes life gets too overwhelming, and I don't judge anyone because I have empathy for it. Like I get it, life is hard. But I think ultimately, how can I encourage them is, even if you are like so fucked up right now, like don't give up. Like don't give up on yourself. I'm not even telling you like don't give up on like being better, or don't give up on like anything. I'm telling you, don't stop loving yourself. And I think when you give up on yourself, aka when you stop loving yourself, that's when you really don't give a fuck about whatever happens in your life. But I think as long as you are willing to love yourself, even if you're broken, even if you're not successful, even if you're fat, even if you're not beautiful, like whatever it is, I think that's what gives people the ultimate.
I think it's hope, you know. I think we froze. Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
We're back.
So I think that's what gives people the ultimate permission and courage to keep pursuing their life, keep striving in their life.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think before we started, you were talking about there was like 5 scientists or something that you based in your book. I'd like to kind of pick your brain about that.
So like I said, I come from a business and economics background. I studied economics and I worked in business. And then so in a second phase in my book, where I talk about perseverance, like how to achieve goals, whatever you set up in a first phase, I talk about.
Oh, I'm here. I was there. No. Curse you, technology.
Sorry. So yeah, in my second phase of my book, I talk about how you can turn business strategy into life strategy. And then I came up with this matrix or the method that people can use. I call it Life Up Method. Are we stopping right now?
Hope not. Darn you, technology.
Where did I stop? Okay, I'm gonna start again.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, so in the second phase, I talk about how you can create. Well, sorry. in the second phase, I talk about how you can use business and economic strategy into life strategy.
Nice.
And this method, I call it Life Up Method, consists of 5 different ideas from famous economist and famous engineer, some like consulting company, and also the Toyota, the lean manufacturing processes, that the strategy that Toyota uses when they manufacture products, right? Cars and car parts and everything, when putting them together. And then the 5th one comes from a US president, actually, from a long time ago. And each of these people thoughts had different ideas and theories, strategies that they were using when in terms of like operation, right? Like business operation and just idea about economy in general. So I looked at them and I came up with my own method, basically getting inspiration from each method. And then this method allow you to basically organize your tasks in relation to your goal that you want to achieve, that you set up in the first phase. And then it just gives you more organization, effectiveness, and efficiency in the tasks and the goal setting.
So it's just kind of organizing like your daily tasks, your daily habits to achieve your goal or something like that?
Yeah. Well, basically, like you need to come up with like a list of things to do. And then I give you the scoring system that you can score different each tasks according to what I tell you from the 5 different ideas, right?
Yeah.
And this way you can prioritize your goals.
That's so cool.
Your tasks, yeah.
Do you do that?
I did it when I was writing this book, but it's kind of like a framework and a concept. I don't mean to like tell you this as like something you need to do permanently. Yeah. But what I want you to get out of it is the concept. Like I want you to be able to do it here.
Yeah, get your priorities order and then your steps of action. Yeah, whenever I do that, I always have a lot more stuff. So I used to write morning pages. I'd write like a page every morning about all the things I needed to do, and then plan your week, plan your month, plan your year. And sometimes it works really well for time management, but sometimes it's just kind of like, no, life is real. I got to make shit happen on the fly. So
yeah. But I think it's helpful in a way that you know this concept versus you don't know. Like your thinking is different for sure. So like I said, growing up, just being born and raised in Japan and also studying economics and all that just kind of puts me in a position that I'm very, very efficient. I'm really like efficient and effective. And it was funny because I didn't notice it. Like when I was in America working with Americans, they told me I was a little bit like a robot. Like I was working like a robot, right?
A robot, yeah.
And, and then in Japan, I'm a crazy person. Like I'm more like, let's dance, let's be happy, like blah, blah, blah. So I'm very crazy here, but I'm not like, I'm very punctual, like very like machiney in America, which was so crazy to me. But that's when I know it's like, shit, this is my advantage. Like I have that in me. So I got to put it out like as a method and be use that character of me in usage. Yeah.
So is there anything that you're really excited about that you're looking forward to right now?
Right now, I'm thinking about developing like real estate projects inside of Foreign Connect. Right now, I'm helping a lot of like businesses. Yeah. But I'm trying to develop. I'm trying to go into real estate. So this idea just came like last week. So I'm kind of excited to develop further.
For real estate, is that what you said? Oh, nice. So like you would like buy real estate in different countries or something like that, where you travel around?
Yeah, well, I buy real estate in America and sell it to Japanese investor. And I need to understand how this whole thing works because I never worked in real estate. I always been in tech. Yeah. So I got to look into it, but I think it's going to be fun.
That's cool. So how often do you go back and forth between Japan and America? I guess pandemic aside.
Yeah. So last time I was back is like about 2 years ago.
Yeah. And you like negotiate for businesses or something like that, or just connections?
Well, basically, like I use the connection. I'm basically like service broker for American company, for them to connect with Japanese companies. And then basically I be their international project manager.
Oh, that's freaking cool. That's pretty high up there though. You got to be on your stuff for that, I feel like.
Yeah. But it's been fun.
That's so cool. What inspired you about like business and economics? How did that kind of come to be?
So I worked in tech when I was in school even, right? Like I had some time off and then I went out to work in tech industry. And at the time I was already interested in like entrepreneurship. So I decided to work in like very startup environment where I was constantly meeting with tech entrepreneurs and investors and people who had a vision about how they can use technology to advance our capability as a humanity. That's how I came up with the idea of like, wow, like this is so cool beyond the money, right? Like I thought it was cool. So when what I noticed about myself during that time was like how emotional I was, how illogical I was. Like I wasn't logical at all. And at that time I was working with like very logical person. I had like a partner in that crime, right? Like in that scene. And anyway, so he told me I was not logical. I was not good at logics, right? And then I thought about like, but how can I predict, which is impossible. But at that time I thought, how can I predict what is needed to advance the humanity in the next generation? In order for me to think through that, I need to understand economics. I need to gain the sense of logics. I need to understand like how things work in terms of like business, but not necessarily only money oriented way, but also like, giving consideration for education, consideration for technology and business, financial, like everything being considered, right? So economics was perfect study because it kind of integrated all that into one study. And that's how I focused on economics. But I also definitely stayed within the mindset of business. I was interested in entrepreneurship and I worked with a lot of like entrepreneurs, right? From that point. So yeah, business always has fascinated me. I think more than anything, like I don't give a fuck too much about like money, or I don't give a too much about like, I don't care about fancy stuff. I think what I like about business is the portion that it directly connects here. Like it challenges you here mentally. And it's like manageable stress, like rather than
Solving
like you're
problems.
scared for your life, right? Like, So, it's civilized. Most manageable pain you can probably experience is business pain. And also, if you, as long as you are good here, that also affects with your business too. So I think I like that thing about business is it just encourage, like it's a real game. Like you can actually like it's a real test. You need to be good up here.
Yeah, well, if you have money in your bank account, then you're doing something right. Whereas with all the meditation and visualization, if it's not actually coming real, it's more actual is what I'm trying to say for business and stuff like that. So now you're you have this background and you're doing awesome. You're well-rounded. And then now you're trying to help also people with their personal development and kind of just master their life, right?
Yeah.
Self-domination.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, it's kind of like, because I understand practicality, right? Like I said, I come from the business background and I have no interest in telling people who I am because that's not my control. Like I can let you decide. You decide what I am, right? So I don't say that I'm a perfect. I don't say that I'm expert. I don't say that I'm like someone that's better than you. I don't know. I don't know if I am. Like, and then honestly, I shouldn't know because I only know me. I don't know your life. Like, I don't know what's good for you, and you decide what's good for you. So my approach to the audience is kind of like, here's what I think. Here's how I do things. Here's what how I approach life. And I'm so, it's humbling to see, and I'm so grateful when people say, wow, like that's so amazing. Like I want to definitely use that or something like this. I'm very grateful for that. But I also don't expect like in the same degree, like if you think my idea is shit, I think it's shit for you. And I don't care. Like I'm not living my life to pressure you. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the kind of attitude everybody should have because I don't think no one knows like,
just be authentic. I think authenticity is like the new currency of things. People really appreciate you being more real because sometimes people, they write books or they tell you all this like personal development stuff, but they don't tell you how much sometimes it just sucks. Like sometimes life is hard, nobody's perfect. You can't tell me anything. Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's ideology, like, and I think it comes from insecurity too. But yeah, that's how I think. Like, I think it's more natural to understand that life is so contextual. Like there's no one better than us. I think we're all the same. We're just going through our own journey, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And what makes sense for you is what makes sense for you. Like you don't have to, I don't know. That's just kind of how I feel.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm asking all my guests, like, what is motivation and how do you motivate yourself to do more?
I think, I don't know, like for me, it's kind of like what I experience is perseverance, discipline, more than motivation. And I think what I experience is excitement more than motivation. I do experience these two things. When I have a new idea, such as like this real estate stuff, right?
Yeah.
Do I feel motivated? I'm not sure. I feel excited.
Yeah.
And what I know for sure I have is perseverance. What I know for sure is discipline. Like right now, I'm excited. Maybe as I develop more research into this, I probably feel like shit. This is too hard. I don't want to do this,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
what I'm so confident on myself is that I have such a discipline. Like I have such a dedication for anything I decided to do. Oh my god! Like you cannot stop me.
Yeah.
Like no one
Willpower.
fucking can stop me.
Yeah.
Willpower. Yeah. So that's how I look at it, and I think discipline more often than not comes from threat. Like honestly, I have this example story that I tell. Like you have $100. If I tell you you have $100, if you run like 1 kilo, sorry, 100 is too little. Let's say $10,000. If you run just like 1 kilometer, and then if you have to compete against among, I don't know, 50 other people, right? And whoever who gets 1 kilometer first, like you get the $10,000. Versus you have like bear running after you, like trying to kill you. Like which one would you run faster? And then, I mean, the answer is the bear. Like
bear,
you're threatened for your life, right? So
right.
I think intentionally, for my case, is kind of like intentionally I create the environment where I cannot fuck up. Like I gotta fucking figure shit out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I like to put myself. That way it's more like, oh, it's nice if I can achieve it. No, none of that. Like I'm like, fuck, I better fucking achieve this shit.
Get this shit done.
So that's kind of how I tend to position myself. And I don't know if I can call it motivation, but I think it's more like a discipline and even like threatening.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. And then I think everybody has different ways to motivate themselves. And because you asked me, I think my very personal, like specific approach is this way, tend to be this way.
Yeah. Well, I love it, man. You're getting shit done. That's all that matters. So that's good. Well, you've just been such a delight to talk to. I really appreciate you coming on. Would you mind telling everybody like the best ways to get in contact with you and kind of what your links are?
Yeah, so my media is Life Up Education TV. So you can find me on lifeupeducationtv.com. And my name is Natsune Oki. I'm the author of The Game of Self-Domination right here. So you can see it, right? Can you? Okay, The Game of Self-Domination. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. All of that you can find, all of that you can find in the website. And also you can search me by the name Life Up Education TV in all the platforms.
That's cool. Well, you were so much fun coming on the show. I think everybody learned a lot from having you come on and just talk about your life and your experiences. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening and tuning in. I really appreciate it. And everybody take care. Bye.